Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to episode 9 of The Letter. Last episode, it's a fucking crazy ass motherfucking episode, if I do say so myself. Sorry about that, I had to just click out of there for a second. Let's jump back into it, shall we?
I'll be closing a big deal with a pharmaceutical company soon, if things go according to plan. Maybe, after that, I can take a breather for a bit.
No maybes. You have to promise me.
I only need him.
I'm going to be late, Hannah. The longer this takes, the later I'll get home.
Fine. Shall I see you out?
If that's what you want.
At the front door, his valet waits, ready to accompany him for the rest of the day. When he told to stay, I still don't like it. It looks like he doesn't either. But I ignore him in favor of the one who really matters. I hold Luke's hand in mine and give him a deep kiss. It makes my heart flutter as I see the way his eyes close during our moment of passion. Parting for air, I can only smile.
Have a good day, my prince.
Right. Off I go.
I still don't want him to leave. Listen here, you motherfucker. You better not have another child with somebody else. I'll kick your fucking ass, man. Right now. Sorry. He should just stay. Forever.
If you could let go of my hand, please, Hannah.
It's just so hard to let go when I finally have him in my grasp. To watch him enter his car and leave pains me so. It leaves behind an aching, gaping hole like a hunger and a need. Still adjusting shit. I'm not content until he returns.
You, breakfast is ready in the parlor, madam.
If anything, I'll be in a foul mood
Leave
until
and
he
go
returns.
practice your bloody sodomy elsewhere.
Peculiar.
When I turn around to hiss at him to leave, he's already gone, and that suits me just fine. I want to be alone without anyone bothering me. I want to be alone with myself and my thoughts, with only these halls as company. These damned halls which will hold our memories, just he and I. There's no one else I need but my prince. Not some cheeky servant who's just living it up because he's Luke's right-hand man. Rubbish like him deserve nothing. He deserves to be thrown and locked in. The attic. Without realizing it, my feet have brought me in here. This empty, lifeless room disgusts me. The longer I stare at it, the harder it gets to breathe, as if the walls are moving in on me. Yet at the same time, it pulls me in. I hear a whispering. Curiosity gets the better of me as I look under the bed. There on the far corner, a loose floorboard. The wood, despite having swelled and warped over the years, is strangely familiar, comforting in its feels. Though it's not merely what my hand searches for as I reach for it, it takes quite an effort, but soon I am able to lift it. And inside, underneath the dust and cobwebs, lies a pendant, warm and familiar. And I swear, if I just close my eyes, I can feel it beating in my palm. I feel a thrill, though I also feel like a thief for taking this. But it's mine. So without delay, I hide in our room. In front of the vanity, I see the ways my eyes shine as I remove the clasps of my old necklace and put on this new one. It fits a lot better than the old one. I can feel it as it weighs on my chest.
Right where it belongs.
Oh shit. On to Zachary, ladies and gentlemen. The pleasant aroma hits me long before I cross the threshold. Faint but light and warm. Pa Stearns, but commending gaze, Ma tender smile, the sunlight filtering through the eaves in the morning, and the distinct smell of cinnamon and vanilla as it drifts through the air every time something cooks from the room. The room, our room, Mom and Pa's joy, my sister and I, too, eventually, but we ain't allowed there. Not yet. Not until we're taller or older. Not until we've learned how to take care of ourselves and not burn our hands or reach the cupboards without having to be lifted.
But a little peek wouldn't hurt, yeah?
The floorboards are cold under my feet more than it usually is. The walls more forbidding than what I'm used to. Farther and farther the room goes. Ma singing ceases and
please
Pa...
wait. I'll be good. I'll sleep on time. Don't go.
Can't hear Pa. And not above the raucous clanging and the deafening roar of gunshots, nor the screams replacing the comforting soft melodies. There is only the blinding fear. When my foot slips, the red sea that catches me is bitter and frigid, but the blood that drips in my hand is warm, warm, warm. It ain't my blood. The walls tumble and everything goes quiet. It takes a few minutes for everything to fall into place. Despite the pleasant chill the AC brings, my shirt is clinging tightly to me. Morning has not even arrived, and yet...
Way too early for this thing, man.
And too long. Too long since the last I've woken up drenched in my own sweat, head littered with thoughts that are gone as soon as my eyes open. All too often, only imprints of brief images are left to haunt me for the rest of the day, or until my mind forgets about it. Hey God. Yet vivid or not, what little I can remember does not matter. Regardless, the desperation sticks, clawing up, pushing, urging me to relieve every moment, every sensation, and... There's a twinkle in Ma's eyes when she looks up from her work, flour dusting her nose and cheeks. The scent of freshly baked bread wafts from the oven as soon as Pa opens it, and the homely fragrance of honey fills the room. He reaches up to wipe the small beads of sweat away from his forehead, before gesturing. Yeah, beads. I expect him to be angry, but his pat on my back when I come within his arm's reach is encouraging enough. We'll have to taste these first before we put it up for sale tomorrow. You up for it, little man? Is it good enough? A knock cuts through the air before I can answer. A sharp, heavy, demanding, familiar. So distantly familiar. Ma ushers me out of the kitchen when Pa moves in, but I know. I know what waits outside. Taste of blood in my mouth sends an unpleasant churning in my gut. My apron crinkles under my tight grip, so I guess they had a home invasion. Somebody busted into their house and shot his parents, killed them. Something snaps back into place. My bed remains in an utter disarray. The walls still need a new paint job, and the wall clock ticking opposite my bed is unsettling as ever. Ash is right. I should have already replaced that when I had the chance.
You're no longer there, Zachary. Here and there are miles apart. Calm down. Breathe.
The pressure of my own fingers against my temple is a welcome sensation over the anxiety gripping me. And it never really did anything to stave off the headache sure to fall after this before, but it grounds me. A little reminder that I am safe, away from the place I once called home, from Ma and Pa's. The urgency with each rap that follows finally chases away the ghost threatening to hang around. Why anyone thinks it's a good idea to knock at someone else's door this late confuses me. Nana would chase them away with a broom if she was here. But no matter, it's a welcome break for the thoughts about to take a morbid turn if left festering. It's probably just Ash anyways, looking for a place to crash. Looking for a place to crash. Wonder of wonders why he's bothering with courtesy when he never did so before. Even with that hunch, though, habit compels me to check who it is first through the people. Better safe than sorry, they say. Except the person that greets me on the other side ain't him. Unless his hair grew longer overnight and he started wearing a ponytail, of course, which I highly doubt will happen anytime soon, no matter how funny this looks in my head. I waste no time opening the latches.
Isabella, it's late.
There's something I can't quite pinpoint in her eyes when she looks up. Her face, a pallid shade, shoulders tense, breathing heavily, and an uncontrollable shaking in her hand she's trying to hold back. Hide if it didn't know any better.
Hey, Zach. Sorry. I know it's weird for me to show up at this hour, but you are the closest to my office, and...
No. It's perfectly fine. I'm not really working on anything right now.
Okay, so this is the closest last part from Isabella, where she was at the office and she had a nice little spooky run-in with the ghosty lady.
Do you want to come in?
Is it all right? I know you should be sleeping at this hour, but I thought... I'm sorry, I just thought... I have no idea why I went here. My feet just moved on their own after I got out of the office, and... Sorry.
She trails off, her voice lost in the muggy night air. I wait for her to say more, but instead her only response is a downward shift of her gaze, back to her still trembling hands, as if the motion alone is enough for an explanation. A minuscule gesture, easy to miss if one is not paying attention. But for someone who has seen the same expression on the mirror, done the same thing too many times when night terrors are inevitable, it is not.
Hey, don't worry about it. At least you not. Ash just barges in and crashes on the couch whenever he feels like it. I swear that guy is one fine hairline away from being a criminal.
Without waiting for her answer, I step away from the door and saunter over the kitchenette. For a few good seconds, only the clinking of the plates can be heard above the constant tick-tock. Late as it may be for a snack, the familiar motions keep me occupied, steering my mind away from dangerous thoughts. Isabella's company is not unwelcome either. Whatever her reasons for showing up here at such an hour doesn't matter. I'll be damned if I just turn her away, frazzled as she is. The door clicks shut behind her when she finally enters, feet scuffling softly against the tiled floor. In all the years I've known her, she has never once lost her ever upbeat spirits. Yet in this particular moment, as she stands in my doorway holding her arms close to herself, it's as if I'm looking at someone completely withdrawn from the person I've come to know in all these years.
Do you want to drink or eat anything? I haven't restocked my food stash yet, so ingredients may be a bit limited. But I'm sure I can whip something up with what I have here.
Just water will do, please. Thanks, Zach.
What? No additional food requests? That's new. I'll put something together for you anyway. Hey, feel free to make yourself at home. You ain't exactly a new visitor here. Although my room's not at its most presentable right now. Sorry, new freelance gigs and such. Didn't have time to fix things up here lately.
It's okay. I don't mind.
Usually she had something more to say about that quip, a witty remark to provoke a laughter or two. Nothing from her this time, only a weak smile before she takes a seat on the couch, and a silence that stretches out until we are left hanging, feeling disconcerting. Before everything turned stifling and awkward, I continue talking, if only to keep the dead air at bay. How is one supposed to keep a conversation going when the person you're talking to is like this?
Anyway, gigs. Can you believe this one client we got? Boss had all my scheduled shoots shifted after they caught wind of this couple buying a new property. Man, must be nice to have all the money in the world. The world itself moves for you, huh?
She's curled up on one side of the couch and hugging her knees close when I bring the tray carrying the sandwiches and the water she requested. She starts to straighten up as I'm unloading the contents, but pauses as soon as I hold up my hand in a halting gesture.
You're a guest. Didn't I say you're free to make yourself at home? Here's your water. Careful.
The tremor in her hands, though lighter now, still hasn't subsided when she reaches out for the glass. I give her a questioning look, but she is quick to avert her eyes, keeping herself occupied by taking small gulps of water. Or maybe she just doesn't want me asking questions. Worrying? The sudden loss for words, this bout of quiet not normally present in our chats. Even the creaking of the old chair when I casually take the seat is a welcome break. Although the company's familiar, this has gone way too long.
What happened? Overtime at work?
She doesn't answer immediately. Another gulp drains her glass of remaining. One would think it would be enough to help her recover, yet she doesn't lose her taut grip on the on the glass, her eyes take an unfocused gaze when she speaks again.
Yeah. Boss handed me extra work today. After what happened. To Rose.
Rose? Why do I feel like you've mentioned her before? Sorry, I'm better with remembering faces than names.
She was my coworker. That will take some getting used to. I was just talking to her the other day.
Was? Did she resign or something? I think I'm missing a few details here, Bella.
You've never met her. I think I did mention her once or twice. It doesn't matter. You probably heard her name recently from the news than me.
Something clicks then. A little memory from the night before. The bright red light from the dark room, the strong odor of the stop bath, the television barely audible murmur in the background, and the glimpse of a bloody room. The news is everywhere, even in the morning that follows. I just didn't think its effects will strike someone this close to me.
Oh. Damn. I didn't mean to bring that up.
No, like I said, it'll take some getting used to, but it'll get better. I hope it will. Things might become a little busier for me, though. She left a lot of things unfinished, and I'm one of the few people in the office who knows how she works. Boss thinks the transition will be easier if I handle it.
That explains it. Well, just don't forget you still need rest. Even the most hard-working people I know don't keep hours as late as this. Hell, the subway stopped running hours ago. Crime rate might be lower here than most places, but that doesn't mean you can walk around freely in the middle of the night.
It's just for today.
Still a good thing you dropped by here first. I'm not just about to let you walk out here alone, especially not in the middle of the night. Who knows what else could happen? I'm not saying you should go right now, but I could accompany you home if you...
No! Wait, please!
The vehement tension in her voice makes me pause, and it is an instant the mask she's been keeping up falls apart. Right then and there, I understood what's hiding behind her unfocused stare from the moment she arrived. Fear. Pure, unadulterated fear. It's disturbing to see how such marring her usual upbeat, hold on, I'm looking at this desktop audio over here, man. Why is it at that? Huh. I don't know. However, the way she appears to make herself smaller against the couch is telling enough.
Bella, this ain't just about your coworker, is it? What is it really about? I'm all ears.
The sound of glass shattering rents through the air as soon as her hold on it loosens. In the span of a few seconds, her breathing grows labored.
I don't know. I don't know anymore.
She claps her hands over her ears, pressing it tightly against the sides of her head. Her voice grows weaker with each word, each plea coming out of her mouth.
Please don't leave me alone. I don't want to be alone right now. I can't shake it off. Everywhere's not safe and...
All right, Isabella. Look at me. Look at me.
My hands are firm on her shoulder when I pull her up to look at me. It takes every force of will to ignore the terror in her eyes in favor of taking control of the situation. Too close.
Breathe.
Too familiar.
Breathe. You're safe here. Inhale, hold, exhale. Stay in the present. I'm here. No one's gonna hurt you. Do you want to talk about it?
The force with which she shakes her head is enough reason to drop the topic altogether.
No more. Please. No more. I don't want to remember anymore.
Kate, no more talking. I won't ask anymore. Can I get you anything? Another glass of water? I think I have a tub of that pistachio ice cream you love so much. We're gonna have to clean this mess first. Will you be fine on your own for a little while?
She nods slightly before retreating into herself again. No more words are exchanged after that, and I take that as my cue to start cleaning the shards littering the floor before either one of us gets hurt. The quiet hum of the AC is a pleasant distraction as I go over the menial task, more so than her ragged draws at breath or my little feeble attempts to tell a quick story or two. But the latter does the trick. As soon as she's already drifted off by the time I return with the promised glass of water, her chest rising and falling in a steady rhythm, strain on her shoulders gone. Frankly, I've never seen her this still. She mumbles something I don't quite catch when I carry her to the empty bed and hugs herself tighter against the mess of blankets. In spite of the fact that she appears relaxed, the small frown on her face hasn't quite disappeared. Whatever happened to her won't be leaving her anytime soon. But for her sake, I hope it won't stay long for her. There are still questions left to be answered. But the late hour, coupled with the sudden exhaustion, made my old couch a more comfortable place. Oh, darkness immediately welcomes me as soon as my head hits my makeshift pillow. I can only wish the dreams will keep at a distance for now. For both of us. The first few notes, while muffled, are enough to wake me. In the end, it became one of those nights when sleep passes like a blink and is plagued with vague, fuzzy thoughts. I lift the hands and rub away the drowsiness from my eyes, although it does little to relieve the gritty, burning sensation from my eyelids. Outside, the sun has yet to peek over the horizon, but night has already given way to the cool morning light, washing everything in subtle. At this hour, the entire city remains silent. Ordinarily, waking up before my alarm means abusing the snooze button twice or thrice just to catch, but the persistent ringing makes it impossible now.
This better be good.
Groggily, I scramble for the bag sitting at the foot of the bed. The ringing still hasn't stopped, even as I fish the phone out, and Ashton's name flashes brightly on the screen when I turn it on. Must be pretty urgent if he hasn't dropped the call
Took
yet.
you long enough, Z-Man.
Ashton, it's 6 in the morning. The sun hasn't even risen. Hell, my brain ain't even awake yet. Stop calling me Z-Man.
It's 20 past 6, Zach.
You want to talk? Give me back my 5 extra minutes, Ash. I want my sleep.
Hey, don't make fun of me. I can be a more person too if I want to.
What's this all really about? You don't usually make calls around this hour. Is the world ending today?
Sorry about that. Becca rang me up a few minutes ago looking for Isabella. Said she didn't show up in her own apartment last night. We both tried calling, but her phone seems to be off. Do you have any idea where...
I should have known you two would come looking for her first thing in the morning.
Not a laughing matter, Zach. You can't really let your guard down with everything that's happened here recently. You've heard about the Cooper woman from the news. Everyone in the precinct has been restless ever since the incident the other day.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Listen, Ash, about Bella.
I let my voice trail off, unsure how to go about things recounting last night, if I should even say anything to him. He might be a close friend, but at the end of the day, whatever's bothering her ain't mine to speak of in the first place. On the bed, Isabella remains as still as when I transferred her the night before. Sometime during her sleep, she pulls up a blanket over herself and tucked into it comfortably. Like this, it's easy to forget the horror in her eyes, or how much her hands and lips tremble. Save for her firm grip on the edge of the covers, she appears nearly as normal as she would any other day. Almost.
I'm not really sure how to go about this while being...
Zach, what about her?
Something, the worry, the concern must have surfaced in my tone, because his own shifts then, carefully as if he's preparing for the worst.
Look, you don't have to worry about her. She's with me right now. Since last night, in fact.
Oh, why didn't you just say so earlier?
She kinda knocked in the middle of the night. I couldn't possibly wake you two over that. And with how things are when she arrived, I thought it'd be best if I let her rest first. And I just wasn't expecting people would be looking for her before the rooster even crows.
You could have at least called her something. Becca's beside herself with worry when she found out. You know how much she frets about the smallest stuff.
I know. I'm sorry. That was a lapse on my part. And I just didn't think... Okay, you know what? Rebecca's worries ain't completely baseless. Isabella hasn't been her usual self since the movie. Maybe even before that. I don't know if I should be opening my mouth about this, but Bella didn't outright say I shouldn't, so
So something's wrong then?
I'm not quite sure, to be completely honest. I couldn't get the story out of her.
Really? I thought you had learned something from me by now.
That's not it. Ash, when she appeared at my doorstep last night, she was shaking, and when I tried to ask her about it, she just panicked. Had this frightened look on her face. I'd be surprised if this was the first time I've seen it, but it ain't. Dude, the first time, she was screaming.
First time? When was this? You weren't talking about the thing in the movie house, are you? Because that was just us fooling around. Granted, I think I went overboard with the joke, but...
No, it happened the day after. When she invited us to lunch, you weren't there. We were walking 1 second, and then the next, she's crying out. I'll be straight with you. That scared me shitless.
It bothered him if the way he falls silent after his telling. But whatever his opinion is stays absent from his voice when he speaks again. He's always been good with that. Hiding
Did she
what
say
he
anything
thinks.
else?
Nothing. Won't tell me anything aside from a few vague words. I didn't want to push it.
Where is she? Is she still sleeping?
Right here with me, still sleeping. Should I wake her up or something? Let her know you guys are looking for her?
No need. Let her rest. I'll drop by in a few.
Today? Don't you have work at this time? I mean, I can drop her off home myself before meeting my client later.
Look who's talking.
My schedule's flexible, Ash. Last time I checked, you're the one who didn't have that luxury. How on earth do you think I'm able to tag along when you need me?
It's not completely out of the way.
They live on the other side of the town from you, Ash. Your definition of out of the way is a little screwed up, you know.
It's fine. I have some things I need to do anyway. I'll call you back. I've got to let Becca know that Scared Cat's fine. Bye.
He drops the call before I can even get a word in, and for several minutes after, I find myself simply listening as the rest of Luxembourg rises. The increasing sound of passing traffic, the bustling of the nearby shops preparing for the day, and the growing clamor of the people while they go about their morning. Not the most soothing sounds to hear following a troubled night, but the routine puts me at ease. Nevertheless, comforting what's safe, what I'm used to. Nearby, Isabella shifts but doesn't wake, blissfully unaware as the city slowly stirs itself back to life. Was her night as restless as the one I had? Were her dreams as lucid? In hushed moments like this, I envy her. Unreasonable, probably a little unfair to say such in light of last night. If only forgetting is as easy as breathing. Small yawn escapes me when I rise from the couch to stretch. Luckily, the short conversation with Ash has effectively driven away any will to go back to bed. I still have a day to get through despite the proverbial stuff. The orange bottle sitting at the edge of my table is reassuring against my palm the instant I pick it up. The sterile odor of the capsules, equally so, yet the weight they carry is something I've never gotten used to. Years ago, I'd spend minutes, heck even hours, staring at a single pill prior to taking one in. Now it's just routine, a way to stave off the unwanted nightly visits. Although I don't think Dr. Navarro will be quite pleased if he ever finds out I'm relying on them again. I do owe him a visit regardless, especially after missing our appointments on purpose and ignoring his calls for weeks. Another sigh comes out, tired and weary, and I pop the tablet into my mouth.
Zach? What time is it?
Bottle on my hand hits the table with more force than necessary. As much as I trust my friends, there are some things I'd rather keep to myself.
Morning, Bella. Did you sleep well?
She answers the question with a long, drawn-out yawn, one reminiscent of a child. A chuckle manages to come out of my mouth at the sight. In this manner, it's easy to mistake her for someone too young for responsibilities, inexperienced and immature even. Easy to forget she was thrust into a role of an adult earlier than her own dreams can afford, to overlook how surprisingly observant she can be at times. Maybe not on the same level as Ash exercises for his investigations or Rebecca needs for her own work, but it's certainly enough to deftly put what she sees around her on canvas. And if the way her eyes flickers to the table on my hand says something, is that I won't be able to avoid the questions
Only
this
a little.
time.
I don't remember how I ended up on the bed, though.
My doing. You didn't look very comfortable sleeping on the couch, all hunched up like that.
It would have been enough for something temporary. Sorry I stole your bed.
Hey, it doesn't matter. Besides, what kind of gentleman would I be if I leave a lady sleeping in such uncomfortable conditions? Not in this house. My nana would give me a tough scolding if I ever did that, I'm telling you.
Thanks a lot, Zach. I know I barged in at a very inconvenient time last night. I wasn't really thinking when I did, and...
Hey, it's cool, Bella. I ain't mad at you. That's what friends do. You guys are welcome here anytime. Although Ashton abuses the anytime part a lot, I don't really mind. We might have less wiggle room if all four of us are present, considering the size of this place. But as long as no one makes anything explode, it's totally fine.
Fine or not, I still owe you one for last night's trouble, especially since you don't seem to be...
A concerned expression passes over her features as she spares another cursory glance over the table, back to the bottle holding every small piece of what keeps my bad dreams at bay. The blood blooming over Pa's heart, the horrified look on Mom's face as she watches him fall lifeless to the ground in every ounce. Despite seeping, "You don't belong here. You monkeys don't belong here." Never stops, doesn't
well,
it?
You don't seem to be feeling well.
Oh, so they had to like
Let me
racist
know,
kill his
okay?
Pa, huh?
I'll make it up to you somehow.
She makes a slight gesture with her head towards the bottle, asking a question without really asking. Subtlety has never been one of her greatest assets, but right now even Ash would have been a little amazed, if not lost for words, at that. She has left it up to me whether I give her the response she wants to hear or not. A little clever coming from her, if anyone would ask. What to do, what to do. What should I go with? Oh, I'll tell her the truth. Can't be afraid forever, but it's never easy, ain't it? Talking about my own problems, that is. It will never be, not by a long shot. Not when I've let it stay this long for so long. I realized that long ago, when the wounds are still fresh and the dreams are a nightly occurrence, can't force yourself to get better or move on to better things. It is what normal now, and I can only cope. The question in her eyes may be unwarranted, born simply out of curiosity and sincere concern for a friend. I don't owe her an explanation, in fact. But of all the people I keep close in my life, she's probably one of the very few who perhaps I can trust with this. Maybe she won't understand entirely, and I can never hope she will. No, never to the full extent. That alone is expecting too much of her, and giving too much of what I can. However, for all her shortcomings, I know she'll hear me out. And that is all I can ask of her.
My bad. I was kinda hoping you wouldn't have seen me with these.
Pills rattle lightly against the container when I gently set it back to its usual place. Always a small area closet, closest to my laptop, near the right hand. Within reach whenever, and a quiet reminder of what I shouldn't miss every day.
What? Oh, is it bad? I was just thinking that maybe it's a cold like Becca's. Do you need me to get anything from the store? Soup or something? There's one nearby, right? I can run real quick and...
No, nothing of that sort. I'm perfectly healthy right now. It's really difficult to say, but can you promise me you'll listen at least?
What is this about, Zach?
I should have been upfront with you about this a long time ago. Well, Ashton found out without me telling him anything. But you already know how that guy is. Can't hide anything from him.
If it's something you're having trouble saying, you don't have to force yourself to tell me. I'll forget I ever saw anything and won't ask questions. Promise.
No, I need to get this off my chest eventually. Besides, We're already here. Might as well finish what I started, yeah?
If you say so.
She takes a seat on the couch, her posture easy and open, and her smile honest. As if this is just a simple talk between two friends on a regular day. It is far from one, but her unreserved air is enough to stamp down the twinge of unease that threatens to come up.
Let's hear it then.
And she does. True to her word, she listens while the story spills out of my mouth of my ma and pa, the little old diner across the pond, and what it left in me that day. I can't recall most of it now, my own account jagged with a few missing details here and there. The passing years have eroded most of my recollection of the whole incident, all except for that one moment in the kitchen. The ringing of gunshots as vivid as it sounded that day. Even Ma's hysterical screams the moment Pa's body hits the floor motionless, his lifeblood flowing out from under him. And the gunman, he was smiling. He was smiling when Pa opened the door to welcome him, smiling when he put a bullet to Pa's chest and Ma's head. I've heard stories of how the world can be a cruel place for people like us before. I never believed until that moment.
Nan and Gran took us right after that. Sis and I flew straight to New Jersey as soon as they heard the news. A few days after, Ma and Pa were laid to rest. And we have a new home a continent away. I didn't even get the chance to take my favorite pillow with me. They said something about the change of environment will be good for us. They had no idea the different kind of ghosts would follow me here.
I expected questions, mostly those brimming with childlike curiosity, and maybe some that are a little too hard to answer. But to her credit, she just sat there, lent her ears, and looked at me with no expectation or unnecessary judgment. She appears wiser and older like this, easier to see the breadwinner in her. Her younger siblings are lucky to have her. When I'm done, after everything's been said, she wraps her arms around me, a bit awkward considering the gap in our heights, but it gets her sentiment across. But it's difficult to answer this in kind, if I am even supposed to reciprocate the gesture given my earlier apprehension. She pulls away shortly with a smile on her face. Not the reaction I braced myself for, but it is obviously better than what I imagined.
Are you not gonna say anything?
Am I supposed to say anything after? Like, apologize or something? I don't think that's very appropriate, but if you want to hear one, I can think of something real quick.
Not really. Other people have something to say after usually. And they're not necessarily nice either.
Oh, okay then. I won't. I can't think of something anyway. Sorry, I'm not very good with this. Who else knows, by the way?
My older sister, grandparents, and just Ash and you for now. Maybe I think I should tell Rebecca too, but...
But not right now?
Yeah, not right now. When I'm ready. Like today.
I'm sure she'll be willing to hear you out once you do.
I don't doubt she will. I'm more afraid of how she'll react after. One step at a time, yeah? Whew. Surprisingly, it feels good to get that one out my chest. I was a little afraid you'd be angrier. I didn't tell you earlier than today.
I'm not angry. I'm just surprised. You didn't look like it. I wouldn't have suspected. I suppose that's how it often is, isn't it? We all have our... what's the word Becca uses? Inner demons? But this is something personal to you. I understand why you'd rather have a few people know.
That too. Well, these past few weeks haven't been easy for you. I didn't want to add that. Not after last night.
Something passes in her face, brief, fleeting, and disappears right before I can recognize what it is.
You okay?
Yep, no worries. I'll be fine. Look, about last night... Never mind. This isn't a good time. But don't lose sleep over this, alright? What's important is you got what you want to say out. And if you need me, I'll be here.
I should be relieved. Her words are more than reassuring to my ears. There should be comfort in hearing those alone and knowing I have another person to rely on if things ever go bad. But somehow I find myself worrying more for her instead. I'll make another attempt to get the story out of her if I can. But this is a dance I know all too well, and with her, I doubt forcing her to say something would yield any results. As much as I want to imitate Ash, there's only so much I can ask that won't result in something a little over flirtatious. At best, she'll stop talking to me until a week passes. At worst, I'd rather not risk it. I've never seen her angry. Outright annoyed, maybe, and often directed at Ash, but never furious. What do they say again about happiest people who when angered? Besides, it'd be unfair for her after a little chat.
Food then?
She seems relieved at the brisk change of subject, and as if it's been simply waiting for its cue all the time. Her stomach rumbles at the mention of food. Rather loudly, as a matter of fact.
Alrighty, Missy. We're going to get some chow now. Better be quick, though. Can't have your stomach starting a revolution on us here.
Don't make fun of me. I'm not that hungry. Maybe a little. I didn't think I'd end up skipping dinner last night.
And now we have one starved stomach protesting. Sorry, it'll be nothing fancy, since I'm a little low on stocks. I should probably drop by the grocery store after the meeting this afternoon.
I can make a quick run for you if you want.
Nah, I've got enough to put together something nice here. Maybe. I could always improvise if we're missing an ingredient or two. It ain't like we're going for a Michelin 3-star status here. Also, didn't I say you're a guest? Is this a Filipino thing? Or just Rebecca rubbing off on you?
Soft laughter that comes from her doesn't quite reach her eyes, sorry. Neither. The answer is neither, because if she stays idle, she'll remember.
On second thought, I might need a little help slicing up the potatoes while I prep the ham. You up for that?
What? Do you think instant noodles are all I'm about? I'll have you know, I can cook a mean paella with my eyes closed. All my siblings love it.
Sure you can. Come on. I think I know what we'll do with those spare ingredients.
Despite the massive effort to keep the mood light with smaller chatter. Between us, the constant clapping of knives against the board and the muffled distance of the television. Oh my god, it goes so fast. Not entirely unusual. We've had moments like this before, but definitely unnerving with how things are now. Really wish someone else will come knocking at the door. Well, Ash should, right? As pleasant as this is, breaking the ice or keeping a conversation going has never been my forte. That has always been Isabella's or Rebecca's department. Sometimes Ash's, although most coming from him border on awkward or embarrassing. Speaking of the guy, he never did call back, and I'm willing to bet my entire yearly salary that he fell right back to sleep after that call.
Sorry, Bella. Could you...
Yep, I got it. The potatoes are almost ready, by the way. I turned down the heat just in case. You might want to check on them, though. Hold on, I'll be right there. Sheesh, wait up. If you keep rapping at the door like that, you'll break it down. Ash.
Oh, good. You're awake.
Ash has already welcomed himself in when I take my eyes away from the oven. He's never been really keen with the notion of courtesies after he's warmed up to you, this guy. All 13 of my locks he broke can attest to that. He's a good fellow, though. Maybe a tad bit standoffish at first glance, but he's trustworthy.
Don't you have work today?
I could ask the same of you. Hey, Izzy, man.
You're late. Something came up? You need to drop the Z-Man. It's getting old.
Sorry, I got caught with something at the precinct on the way here. Had to attend to that first before things got out of hand. I'd tell you about it, but you know how it can be with those kinds of things. Later, maybe.
And you're here because...
What? I'm not allowed to say hello?
I doubt you're here because of that. And you're not answering my question.
My bad. Forgot to mention that. He called earlier looking for you. Rebecca's worried because you didn't come home last night.
You could have called my cell instead.
You weren't picking up. Anyway, I'd really hate to cut this little get-together short, but I need to be somewhere else. Come on, Isabella, let's get you home. I'll drop you off on the way.
Wait, we're going now?
He lightly claps a hand on her arm and he begins ushering her out of the apartment, throwing a casual wave at me as they pass. Isabella, on the other hand, doesn't appear too fond of the idea. Sure enough, before they can even cross the threshold, she puts a firm foot down, force alone enough to halt them both and catch the taller man off guard. It would have made for a funny picture. The way Ash almost crashes into her and Isabella giving him an indignant pout over her shoulder. Surprise and confusion are in his face all at once, two things that rarely ever grace if he ever can help it. A rare moment even for our small group. If only I have my camera with me. Dang.
What is it?
Zach cooked something.
If it's just food, I'll get you something on the way back.
But the food! It's Zach's cooking. Real delicious food that actually tastes like food. At least stay and have a bite, please. Zach, help me here.
These two, whenever they're in the same room, sometimes it feels like herding a group of unruly kids instead of talking to two mature adults. One moment they're engaged in a pleasant chit-chat, and the next they're bickering over a minor issue. Frankly, if I didn't know any better, I would have overactive imagination. I'd say there's something going on. Never mind how utterly impossible that idea is. Or it might just be me reading too much into things like always. I can already hear Ash's laughter as if so much as just such. This, however... Yeah. We have to go with Isabel on this, because Ash just like, yeah, I'm taking you home without, you know, even taking what she wants to do into consideration whatsoever. And what she's been experiencing.
I don't know about you two, but I think you guys should really stay. I've already made enough food for all of us, and it'd be a waste. Why, I cooked up that special honey glazed ham you two keep on yapping about. Got some scalloped potatoes with onions and cheddar to go with it, too.
The oven timer dings. I shoot the two of them an apologetic look before sauntering over the kitchen, mittens in hand. The sweet smell of the glaze and salty tang of melted cheese wafts through the air as soon as I open the door and take out the two trays. The scent immediately fills the entire room, and even the door and windows open. The mouth-watering aroma lingers. It's appealing enough that when I put the dishes down on the counter, another starved stomach protests loudly, followed by a burst of laughter. My head snaps up at the two of them, and I can't keep back the smile at the sight they make. Isabella is clinging to the door frame for support, doubled over with breathless laughter. Ash is the more composed of the two, trying to look unconcerned, but a flush has crept up his neck and cheeks. It's clear whose stomach that came from, and Isabel is not going to let him live this down.
You're in no place to reject an offer of free food, Frey.
I wasn't rejecting anything. Damn it, I just missed a meal, that's all.
Aw, he's flustered.
Shut it! Those guys at the precinct said it was urgent. Somebody has to be responsible for it.
Well, aren't you precious?
Right. You know, if you keep laughing like that, you'll burst.
I'm sure it won't be as bad as your stomach suddenly rumbling like a starved.
Aye, kiddos, play nice. Food's gonna get cold if we keep this up. Ash, you gonna stay?
Might as well, since Scaredy Cat's so hell-bent on staying.
We eventually settle down after the food has been served, the jibs replaced by another round of friendly chatter, mostly about what's on news the night before. There is, however, a conscious effort to avoid mentioning what's currently on the headlines. Dead is never a good topic to talk over food in polite company, this case in particular. The wounds are too fresh, too soon. I'd likely avoid it if I was in her position and someone I personally knew passed away in a gruesome manner like that. Though perhaps the closest we got to broaching the topic is when the infamous mansion is brought up again. But even then, we are careful, Ash and I. We keep the conversation light and avoid bringing up her late business partner. The least we could do.
The Wrights? Yeah, they're planning to move in soon. In fact, they already have a housewarming party planned. It's why they wanted us to rush the papers. They wanted to send the invitations out as soon as possible.
Oh, now I get it.
Get what?
Remember what I told you last night about the new clients?
Vaguely? Sorry. I was a little out of it yesterday. Was it the photo shoot?
Yep, it's actually for the one you sold. Something. When you put it that way, I suppose it makes sense why my boss wants me to prioritize the couple. They can have those documents rushed at just a snap of their fingers, and they're more influential than I initially thought. Man, I guess my boss is expecting a lot more from this project than I expected. Hope I can live up to it.
Your photographs are more than good enough, Zach. You'd probably win an international award if you let yourself. Ma'am Hana's easy to please, too. As long as you're good at following instructions.
Easier said than done. Different clients have different tastes, after all.
Still, a week? I don't think that's possible.
Now that you mentioned it, yeah. They wanted everything finished at the earliest. To be honest, it's not unheard of, but...
But it's still weird. Still weird, yeah?
Slip of the tongue. Still barely noticeable to someone who's already familiar with Ash's ways, yet in this moment, it's impossible to miss. I shoot him a curious glance, but he ignores it. Rather pointedly.
I can't exactly say it's like that, where I'm just the middleman after all. As much as I want to comment on it, I only know what's on the surface, not the in and outs. It's just that BRC and my boss are more hands-on with the legal stuff this time, despite having a separate department dedicated to it.
Maybe Mr. Wright helped with it too. They have their own legal team for this, don't they?
Well, they should have one, especially for a big property like this.
They have, but like I said, it's off our hands. Rose and I don't handle this stuff in the office. If anything, to me, this just means I'll be able to send the rest of the funds to Papa's treatment earlier.
I guess that makes a whole lot of sense. Officially off our instant noodle diet, aren't we?
Ash, has anyone ever told you that you have an uncanny way of ruining the mood?
What? I was just saying. A few more months of stuffing your face with those, and I'm sure you'll start to look like a noodle cup. That's a pretty picture.
At least I don't live off convenience store food. Or make poor, unassuming pressure cookers explode.
What? How did you... Oh, come on, Zach.
Sorry, it just came up while we were cooking earlier.
I'm impressed, Ashton Frey. You even made it to the news.
A one-time thing. And it wasn't as big as you seem to be imagining.
Oh, sure. Let's all pretend that one time you almost set my apartment on fire didn't happen too.
Hey, that was an accident.
You were making a salad, Ash.
Can we please move on to a different topic?
It helps the casual talk, the harmless teasing, the mundane stories interesting enough to let time pass unnoticed. By the time lunch ends, the shadows are no longer a forefront of my mind. If it's the same for Isabella, for whatever troubles her, I can never tell. These things, the anxiety, the fear, they aren't easily seen, ain't easily forgotten after all.
You go on ahead. I've got a few things I need to ask Zach. I'll be downstairs in a minute.
Confusion briefly flashes in her eyes as she catches the keys he tosses over, but doesn't give her an answer.
How sure are you I won't be driving away with your Shirley?
You don't even have a license. Do you even know how to?
Papa taught me how. I'm probably a better driver than you. See you later, Zach. Thanks for the food.
Always has to have the last word, don't you?
You're welcome. I'll send you the recipe for the potatoes tonight.
The grin is back on her face when she leaves and closes the door behind her. For a little while after we've left alone, Ash goes woolly unquiet, listening, waiting for her remaining footsteps in the hall of Fade. Earlier amusement is gone from his face, replaced by what I can only describe as trepidation. I know that look all too well. When he's like this, he's expecting shit about to go down at some point soon.
That wasn't very nice, Ash. What was that with Isabella earlier? You're usually subtler with your questions.
They hired you.
Hired me who? Don't change the subject yet. What's really going on here?
The Wrights. Luke and Hannah Wright. You said your next gig is with them.
Is that what this is all about?
Are you investigating
Just
them?
be careful around them. You have no idea what you're dealing with when it comes to that couple. I'd rather you stay as far away from them as possible, but you're already here. Isabella's their real estate agent. Seriously, of all the people in Luxburn.
Okay. I guess I'll just have to take your word for it.
He nods, claps a comforting hand on my back, and turns to leave without another word. He's never been good with those. More often he fumbles with what he wants to say, but his actions alone are enough to tell me how grateful he is for the trust. He reaches for the knob as soon as he gets to the door, but doesn't turn it. Instead, he looks back and gestures with his head towards the table. I don't need to follow his line of sight to know what he's going to ask about. He's likely taken notice of the moment he entered the room.
You back on those? I haven't seen you taking them in a year.
Yeah, I kinda had to. It got worse after the film fest. The dreams, that is. I don't think I'll be doing that again anytime soon.
Heard about that. Don't drop it, though. You don't want Becca scolding you. She actually enjoyed the movie you made, and she's hard to please. Consider that a small victory.
You don't have to tell me. She already did. Rebecca and Bella both gave me an earful after I said the opposite. Promised them I wouldn't, but you can never tell. Hopefully, once I feel better, I'll be able to think about it properly. Speaking of Bella, she didn't open up to me, but maybe with you and Rebecca.
Yeah, I'll try. I can't promise anything, but I'll talk to her.
Thanks. That's all I'm asking.
This time, when he reaches for the door, he lets it close fully behind him without glancing back. A mild draft sweeps into the room as I close the door behind him, slightly disturbing the papers on the nearby fridge. A lone note flutters by my feet and the letters on the surface glaring at me with mute intensity. Armagard Mansion, H. Wright, 11 a.m. After Ashton's warnings, they all hold a different meaning now. Oh, great. I got a meeting with them. The next 2 days rushed by in a blur, altogether leaving a collective mess of work and suddenly piling up a new unexpected... Oh, depending on how you look at it, really. Either way, I'm stuck developing these photos at 3 in the morning to reach a deadline set by an overeager art director. Don't get me wrong, Julius is good, has a vision, and knows what he wants, but damn, he can be too enthusiastic
Doesn't matter when you
sometimes.
couldn't sleep anyway.
There's nothing new in it, of course. After years of working as a freelance photographer, it's simply something I've grown used to. Get to know people, build a client base, do good work, and cash in some late hours if need to. Rinse and repeat. Certainly takes a while to get footing on the field, but it's kind of the thing that pays off in the long run as long as you keep at it. Given it enough time, you might even end up with big names on your client list. Names like the Wrights in particular. I never did pay much attention to them, but it's virtually impossible not to hear about them when a local news channel or paper has something to say on their name. A party here, an acquisition there. Sometimes it's a new business venture, other times everyday gossip that typically follows popular people like them. Not in a million years did I ever imagine I would end up working for such a high-profile couple. And between that and the fuss that comes with it, it leaves me no time to ponder over what happened to Isabella or why Ash is so adamant we keep
They do
away from
seem
the
like
pair.
the good folk, though, despite the whole fame thing.
Sure, there was a rumor running around years ago about him being involved in some business scandal. But just like every gossip blown out of proportion by the media, nothing came of it, and eventually it simply died down. Much is definitely left to be said for the husband, but I doubt the woman like Mrs. Wright would pick him if he doesn't have any good reason to. Miss Wright, Hannah herself, though. She ain't particularly bad the way the press makes her out to be. Look at them titties. The tabloids had it all wrong, that's for sure. For someone born with a silver spoon in her mouth, well, she ain't exactly what I was expecting. Among other things, the newfound friendship is what I least expected from her, but here we are. Although with a life as public as the Wrights, no wonder it's a woman who often gets the crappy end of the stick. I can't help but feel sorry for her. She's a real nice person when given the chance. Heck, she might have even ended up friends with Rebecca and Isabella too, if they weren't living worlds apart. Probably. The beep quickly pulls me back before my thoughts travel any further. In one practice motion, I carefully place the wet print I'm holding on a drying rack and amble over my makeshift dark room to get the last photo from the water bath. Inside the converted broom closet, the film processor lets out another soft clack before going on its standby mode. At its mouth, a lone photograph sits on the tray, barely visible with the lack of light. It's the last one tonight for the set Miss Wright requested. Oh, it's gonna be the one with the lady standing behind her. I don't usually make this habit, giving away stuff like this. It's bad business, no matter how well-intentioned and generous you are. This expectation is few. She did treat me well with a pleasant companion as all throughout the shoot. Yeah, so this next episode, episode 10, I'm sure that photo is when the lady is hidden behind is standing behind Zach and he's taking that final photo. That was my guess. Hopefully you all enjoyed episode 9 of the letter. And get the fuck out of here.